Welcome. This is the Town of Darien Sewer Commission regular meeting of Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. We are calling the meeting to order 4:31 p.m. On March 5th in room 206. First item on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes from the March.
April 2nd.
What did I say?
March 5th. You're good.
Oh, that's the minutes from last time. Okay.
April 2nd.
There's a little, the agenda, the last line of the agenda. Okay, it is April 2nd. This is the April 2nd meeting. Told you, I was a little confused.
No, that's what I'm here for.
And we're going to look at our meeting minutes from March 5th.
And I was out, so I'm
And I
right
was
here.
out, so you three.
Just the three of us.
That's
We
why,
can make it if
that's
we
why I was so
try.
quick. Everybody blames it on me all the time.
I know,
Yeah. just
You
need a-
weren't here and it was like 29 minutes.
You need a
so.
co-conspirator, that's all. No one asked you if there was other business?
I didn't have anybody willing to second my motion.
Well, that was it, 2 pages. Almost like a page and a half. I haven't yet, no.
Did you find anything?
No.
No, I did read through them, I didn't see
I
anything,
didn't either.
but I didn't watch the meeting, so.
So I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All
I
those in
hope-
favor?
Oh,
Hold on, there's a little further discussion.
We need to make just one modification.
Okay.
Where it says 5B smoke test review,
Yes.
I'm going to ask Penny to just move that down one paragraph,
Oh, okay,
okay?
I get it. Yeah, the 8-inch goes with above and the smoke
Correct.
test goes with below.
Okay.
Okay.
Scribners.
Oh, okay.
I was just looking at.
Okay, with that amendment to your
I do.
motion?
Yep.
Okay, and a second, Bob?
Yes.
And all those in favor say aye. That's 3 in favor. Do we have any abstentions? 1. Do we have any noes? No. 302. I refuse to approve these minutes. All right. Let's work on the serious business of the sewer commission. Item number 3, sewer user fee appeals, 3A, 19 Oakshade Avenue, Eliza and Noah Hatfield Biondo. Are they here with us tonight? Come on up over here. Just state your name and address for the record.
What happened?
Eliza.
Noah Hatfield Biondo.
Thank
19
you.
Oakshade Avenue.
Let's see. Running toilet. All right. So you had a running toilet for a while.
Question. In doing my homework, you bought the house in December of 2020?
Right.
Did you move right in?
We moved in January.
Okay, basically that's right in. And that following spring, did you turn the sprinkler system on?
We had a sprinkler system installed that spring, so there wasn't originally one. And it was turned on in 2021.
2021, April.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Just trying to
see
get
that.
some kind of a baseline. It's-
Yeah.
This is, I mean,
What prompted you to come in this year? Because your bill was $2,000 last year.
Right.
It went down.
Right.
Right.
So what prompted you to
um,
think that it was,
We didn't realize there was a problem until we got the tax bill 2 years ago. And we started looking into it. We had a plumber come because we didn't realize it was a running toilet. He looked in the basement, didn't find anything, and he did find that the toilet was running, but he didn't think that that would be causing that much water usage. And so we were hesitant to replace it because he quoted about $900. And we didn't want to pour more money when we had already had, you know, the water bills and the sewer tax until we could do a little more homework. So we kind of experimented with turning the toilet on and off, and then eventually I went and bought the toilet myself, and my husband Noah installed it because
woman after my own
we-
heart. Okay, let me take care of this.
yeah. So my daughter and I went and bought it, and that cut the cost of at least installing the new toilet down to about a third. And
What?
once we did install it, there was only 1 month between the new toilet being installed and the sprinklers turning on. So when I came back into town hall to speak to someone in the department, they suggested having more than just 1 month to show the change. So that's why we waited until we got through this, basically this billing cycle, to demonstrate that it really is just between about 3 and 6 units during the period that's measured.
That was a very helpful explanation.
Yeah. Nicely done with the toilet, too. That's why I find YouTube amazing. You should really give degrees
Yeah,
in
it actually
YouTube.
was, he did it, but it wasn't that hard.
No issue since.
Yeah.
So
Shocking.
It's the real win.
So, yeah, no, the water bill is pretty clear from October through January, 45536.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely went down,
Yeah,
but being the curmudgeon realist, whatever we want to call it, the water did go down the drain.
yeah,
And we had to pay Stanford to treat it.
sure.
We had to pay our electricity to get it there. And it went on for 2 years.
Yeah,
Well, would you be more inclined than only forgive this last year's and not look a year earlier? Would that be a good, split the baby? Just adjust this year, not the year before?
yeah, what are you thinking?
That would be, in my opinion, best case scenario. I mean, if that's what,
Do you like the staff came up with 402?
yeah, no, I have that down here.
Do I hear a motion?
That's an easy one there.
Do I hear a motion?
Not from me.
Okay.
Well, haven't we in the past, I agree with you, the water went down the drain, we did pay for it. Haven't we in the past given some break to people?
Yeah.
I think we have.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it was kind of, to me, more of a sliding scale the longer it went on.
Right, but that's why I asked, why did you come in now? Because before it was so much more, and now it's actually less, and they were playing with it, trying to
turning
figure
it
it
off,
out.
yeah.
They're turning the toilet off and spending time with it off and on, trying to figure, they were working on it, and they did have a plumber come give them horrible information. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, there's 1,440 minutes in a day, so a half a gallon a minute is 720 gallons. So it's
a lot of water.
very simple math. It's just, sorry, that was one of the questions on the
No,
exams I had to take. So
Did you get it right?
I'm assuming I did. I have the license on the wall.
No.
Just for like clarifying purposes, this, in terms of the running toilet, also, it wasn't as like obvious as that. It would drive us both up the wall crazy if we were constantly hearing an on toilet. That wouldn't have taken as long as it did to address. I think there are circumstances if you're gone for a weekend and it's on, if you could just jostle it, it would stop. But if you weren't there or you were sleeping, there was periods of time where it would happen. So we weren't even always as conscious that the problem maybe was as bad as it was until we got the
Water
the
bills.
metrics to understand what it was happening. And without being first time homeowners, I think it's hard to know what should be normal, especially when you start, until we start to communicate that with some other folks and they're like, whoa, that's way out of whack. So that's just to our defense, the naivete.
Craig, you're doing a lot of math here.
I'm doing a lot of math.
We'll wait for him to
Yeah,
finish his math.
Well, I'll
Curious.
give you my theory. Yeah.
Oh, and someone
You
else
did
has
some
done
math
something.
too.
I'm just like, what?
What's your math?
What's my math? I did all kinds of things.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what my math was.
If you guys get the same math, I'll be shocked.
That would be
I-
awesome. That would be
so
awesome. I would
totally doubt
love
it.
that.
Yeah, I do
You
too.
never know,
That's
you
why I
never
was
know.
shocked.
I was more like doing the math of the, 330,000 gallons that went down the drain.
I see. So this is what I came up with. I basically looked at the last 2 years, and they were charged $3,411.92, when really their water use, at least for the last 4 months, indicates that those two bills should have been $794.58. So, yes, there was a leaky toilet. Yes, it was fixed. Yes, they did reach out to a plumber. They got some bad advice. They ended up doing it themselves. yes, that water did go down the drain and we had to treat it and pay for it. But if we split the baby, that would, between $3,411 and $794, that would be a credit of $1,308. That's effectively splitting it in 50 cents.
I'm up, we're close.
There you go. So that's where I came out. But I'm willing to listen to my fellow commissioners.
No, I think that's fair.
I make a motion. for
There you
that.
go.
Okay, so Peter makes a motion that we credit the account of $1,308.67. And I'll let these guys figure out the accounting and which way the checks go once we're done with that.
It's for 2 years.
We're talking about 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could either take what Penny has come up with and reduce it for the next year, for the past year, whatever.
Or I think you just,
However
Yeah, it
you
doesn't
want to
if
do
a
it.
check is due, a check is due.
Yeah. I'll second that. by
Okay,
the way.
we have a first and a second. Any further discussion on the motion?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You're going too far.
Okay.
2 years, I'm sorry, is too far. I mean, it just is. I mean, I could see completely expunging and taking it to the right number on the second year, but
Okay.
going back 24 months is just too far. Too many thousands of gallons down the drain,
Okay. So you disagree with the motion?
vehemently.
Vehement. Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, shall we take a vote on the motion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All those abstaining, say something.
We ran out of people.
All right. Were you for? I didn't see your hand. Okay, so it's 4-1-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Nicely done with the toilet.
All right.
Sorry, now the incentive to fix something is just out the freaking window with the bathwater.
The next sewer user fee appeal is 3B 27 Wakemore, Randy and Marja Thompson. Nobody here? Is this
Can
one,
we deal with it?
Straightforward.
this one's straightforward?
Yep, just they switched from a well to a
Oh, yeah.
city water, and the well rate was considerably more, and Penny's calculations are correct to the penny.
Oh,
So is that a
nice.
motion?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Okay.
A motion
So
to.
$388.39 for both years?
No.
No?
1 second.
39?
Yeah, she has that totaled out as a
Yeah.
refund.
It's a
Bob.
refund.
A
A
refund?
388.39 refund.
Yes, but that's not the amount per, the first 20, the charges for 2023 would be $458.90, and the charges for 2020 would have been $433.44. So with those two amended bills, assuming that they paid the account in full, then they're due a refund of $388.39.
Great, so that's the motion. I'll second that.
Do we got a first, we got a second, any further discussion?
Oh, wait a minute,
Oh,
that's the wrong one.
3B, right?
They're all the
3B,
same.
1 of 2.
I mean, they are the same.
What, was a B and a C?
Yeah, it was the same
There's 3B
issue.
and 3C.
People who are on wells.
So you read 3.
Oh, I did the two together in C.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So-
different street addresses by 1, 27 and 25.
So, I mean, we could also just make a motion adopting the recommendation in the
Yeah.
memo from Penny.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Is that okay with you, Bob?
Yeah. I'm
So
just-
that's 27 Wakemore, and do you want to do the next one,
Oh, there's
25?
two.
Wait, you got Hill, Hutch.
Yeah, on
And then we need to vote.
27. Wait,
Hill
now
Hutch
you-
1, 2, we haven't taken a vote yet.
We haven't voted,
Yeah.
but we're close.
Before we
yeah,
go on
that's
to the
fine.
second one.
Okay.
Sorry.
The motion is to adopt the recommendation in the memo from the sewer department.
Well, there's two recommendations. There's one for 27 and one for 25.
Well, I
Yeah,
am
we'll
on
go-
3B 27.
We're doing them
Okay.
separately.
We're
doing
going
them
to take the vote separately.
separately,
All right.
Okay, we have a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are unanimous on 3B. 3C is 25 Wakemore Street, Fiona C. Porter, similar occurrence. Do we have a similar motion to
I move
adopt?
we accept the sewer Penny's, whatever her,
Calculations, yeah.
whatever title is, calculation.
Then you want to read it for the record. The charges for 2023 would be $289.46, and the charges for 2022 would have been $350.88. The location would receive a refund of $640.40 pending the sewer commission's approval.
Okay, we have a first.
I think it's 600.
Who was the second?
I'll second it.
Second. Susan is a first and Peter is a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Bob is a yes, that's 5-0 on the sewer user fee appeals. Done and done. All right, 18 and 20 Locust Hill Road connection fee and easement requirement, discussion and action. Are those okay. Staff, do you want to set us up on this?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for the smoke testing there.
This property is located in between Delafield Island and Old Kings Highway South on Locust Hill. There is a sewer in the road there, which was installed by Dick Hammernick privately. We've been looking for documentation and have not located it yet as far as a developer's agreement and where we are with paying Dick Hammernick off for his the sewer line, the cost of the sewer line that he installed. He installed it from his house, which is along the highway. It's the first house on the left if you're going towards Tokenique. So the sewer pipe runs along the highway and discharges at the intersection of Old Kings Highway South, and then goes underneath the highway bridge down Corbin. Okay, that's, which ended up being the Westmere sewer.
Trying to find it on the map, so
the
I'm
house
good with
down.
maps.
The
They've got it.
property that in question was connected to the sewer already. And apparently the house was demolished and the land subdivided. So there's already a connection of the sewer crossing Locust Hill to the highway side.
Okay.
The proposal is to connect the house in the rear with the lateral for the house in the front, and then cross Locust Hill together in one pipe.
Did we deal with that on Nearwater, where they had that rear house where they made an agreement to a manhole and then a shared manhole to the sewer? Do you remember what I'm talking about? It was Nearwater Lane on the left-hand side, just past, and the neighbors had to come up with an easement. It was kind of sort of complicated, about 5-6 years ago.
I think that was Craig's project. That was everybody had their individual lateral there.
To the
that one.
manhole.
Tweed.
Yeah,
To the
everybody
manhole.
had their own lateral.
That's the way I do it.
But this
Two
is
of
more sort of like one that was done on Nickerson Lane, where the property was subdivided, there was already a low-pressure sewer, and the property owner owned both lots. They gave themselves an easement across the frontage of the property. Their engineer presented evidence that the sewer and the lateral, the single lateral that's handling two houses, did have adequate capacity. They drew up a property easement and a sewer maintenance agreement in one neat little 2-page document. That's more analogous, because the one that you're talking about, they all had their own laterals.
Right. So is it more like the one we're trying to sort out on, off of Hoyt Street there, near the country club, where the
Yeah,
Bothwell and
yeah,
the neighbor?
the Woodway House, 147 Woodway, and I forget the address of Hoyt Street. That's gravity, but otherwise, yes.
Low pressure.
And we had Freight Court too, where there were several that were hooked up together, and they had the end of Freight
that's
Court,
right.
they hooked over into Jerry Nielsen's line.
Yeah,
Or-
again, that was gravity, but,
Okay.
yeah. I'm not sure if that sewer lateral was shared, but he had to get an easement from it, the Nielsen's. So, a little bit different.
So in this case, it's a pressure line, and there's already a tap, a connection
Yeah.
into the existing sewer. And we're just adding another house to that? And it's whether or not,
Yeah,
how we deal with it.
So what we're looking for in the direction from the commission right now is requirements for easements, how you guys feel about that, and making sure that's okay to move forward before we direct the developer to do that. And two, talk about the connection fee. The details with the design so far, though we have the plans, before I went back and spoke to the engineer about giving me something more, wanted to make sure we're moving in the right direction from your standpoint. Do you want a second line, or is it okay to tie into one? If that's true, then I'm going to ask the engineer to provide, as Darren said, just a detail, a statement that it has adequate capacity for both of those pump lines to go out.
Is the fact that it's low pressure make a difference, that it's not a gravity-fed system?
It's just a different calculation.
Okay, so that wouldn't be concerning?
No, and
Oh.
it's been done before.
Oh, okay.
But again, we bring these in front of you because of the situation that requires the approval for the easements and for the dual connection on the properties.
So not, I
Use
mean.
one lateral.
Yeah. If you have a plan, I like looking at plans just so it helps orient me to, yeah, if we could just.
Want to
look
see
at-
'em?
Yeah, Rob, come on up and just,
If I could say that this is not really a typical low-pressure sewer installation. Dick Hammernick installed this, there's probably half a dozen potential connections, and that's it.
Rob Frangio, I'm the engineer, for the record. Haven't seen some of you in a while.
No.
Since EPB days, jeez. Yeah, so as I said before, there was a house on the property. There was an existing manhole that had a pump chamber, and there's a 2-inch line that goes out in the street. We'd had that cameraed and inspected. And the low-pressure main, as was described, send all of the sewage this way. All we're going to do is take a pump chamber, like either an E1 or a Liberty pump chamber, have one line go into that, and then the back house here, because it's a front back lot.
oh, it's kind of offset? Yeah, okay.
So this is the back lot, this is the front here, and Locust Hill is over here. So then another grinder pump is going to come out, and basically we're going to try to keep everything on the right side of the property as you're facing it from Locust Hill, and have the one connection to the street. This way we don't have to disrupt Locust Hill. It's a really busy road. There's no reason to disrupt Locust Hill, and it's 2 single-family houses tying with a 2-inch line.
Oh, the one line going across is a 2-inch?
It's a 2-inch,
Okay.
yeah, which is plenty of capacity for
Yeah,
2 houses.
you could get away with 1.5 for one. but
Yeah,
uh-huh.
right, so.
That's fine.
I would assume then you're gonna have 2 check valves.
Yeah, so
Correct?
the plan was to have 2 gate valves and check valves.
Is there gonna be access to the check valves?
It's right off the edge of the road. There's a sidewalk right here, so it's gonna be very close to the street, so there's easy access to it.
Oh, so there.
Yeah.
Similar to the way
To
the
both
water
check
company
valves.
might do it.
Excuse me?
Do both check valves? There's gonna be a check valve going in either direction.
Right, I was
There's
thinking.
gonna be
gate
one
valves.
so the front house doesn't pump to the back house,
Yeah.
and one to the back house so it doesn't pump to the front
Right.
house.
And then I was also
So is there
gonna
gonna
put a
be
gate-
access to both check valves?
Right, and then a gate valve too, so we can shut both off if we ever had to.
So the answer is yes?
Yes. That's a good
Okay.
So it sounds like there's some design details that need to be
Hammered.
done. And the question is, are we comfortable with the 2 lines connecting to one as it crosses Locust? That's question number 1. And question number 2, are we comfortable with an easement over a property in favor of the property in the back?
What's the normal size of a discharge for a single family house?
You could do, I mean, what do you guys?
So E1 has an 1.25 inch outlet for their grinder pumps. Liberty usually has like a 2-inch flange. Since it's a 2-inch line, I'm thinking about going back to a Liberty pump system because it's just easier for the fittings to inlet rather than having reducers or expanders going to 1.25 to a 2. But again, that's the details that.
2-inch crosses the road is what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
So Ed is already going to require you to provide him the calculations and statement necessary to say that the 2 inch is adequate, and you have to prepare that.
Yes.
And we're not necessarily endorsing or deciding that tonight, other than if it works, we're comfortable with one line, and we're comfortable with the establishment of an easement.
Yeah, I mean, I've done low-pressure sewer designs where we've had more than 2 houses on a 2-inch line. That's.
I agree, for what it's worth.
We'll come back next time.
Yeah.
So, does anyone want to make a motion? in line with what staff is
I need
requesting?
an issue with the easements, make sure you're okay
Wanna
with
do
them.
one at a time?
Let's do that first.
Okay.
Then you're allowed to cross their the first.
We
the
agree
front
that
property
there,
with the back.
do we agree that there needs to be an easement with one party crossing another party's property? Anyone want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
With the maintenance agreement?
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the tricky, but making sure that.
Yes,
the maintenance
everybody knows
agreement
who's responsible for what portion of the
Yeah.
line.
Are
That's-
those houses being built now?
One house is, right?
The one in the back is built?
Front.
The front's being built,
Ah,
so.
okay.
All right, so there's a motion to require an easement and a maintenance agreement on the portion of the line that's over the other person's property.
Who made the motion?
Who made it?
Reese made the motion. Do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
Peter seconds the motion. Okay, any further discussion on the motion to require an easement and a maintenance agreement? All those in favor? Okay.
All right.
So item number 1. Item number 2, subject to the adequate technical details being sorted out by the superintendent and the consulting engineer, are we comfortable with avoiding the trench across Locust and allowing the 2 lines to connect into one before they cross Locust?
I say absolutely.
Okay.
That makes sense. I'll make a motion.
Yeah, it's just like a teeny tiny subdivision.
Yeah.
All right, Reese makes a motion
Make a motion.
to allow the single crossing,
Provided
single line crossing.
details.
Provided technical details are sorted. We have a second on the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Oh, that was a second?
I thought he
Oh,
said.
Like if this was an auction? Are
I
you?
think this
are you
is-
good with that?
That's not- Susan gets the power.
Yeah, I'll take
But
it.
you got-
So it was
Go-
Cameron?
Go for it.
Okay, Peter second.
Peter got-
Peter second. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? All right.
Okay.
What about?
Okay.
Third one.
Third one. You said there were 2.
No, no,
I did, but
that's
you,
one.
you split the easement.
the
and
cost.
The connection fee.
Okay, well, do we know enough to make that motion tonight?
I don't think Darren has dug deep enough into that. Maybe you would consider it, I was gonna say allowing us to make that decision based on what we find, but I guess I'm more than happy to come
You know,
back.
2 things are going to happen. Either you find nothing, in which case it would go to whatever our minimum connection fees are
Yeah,
for
sure.
an X-bedroom house.
Yeah,
Or you find something that says this is what it should cost.
But are they not parallel? Because it's one connecting to Mr. Hammernick's sewer and 2, the ultimate connection to our sewer, the town sewer. So it's 2 parallel charges. One could be 0.
Oh, sure.
But the other one is gonna always be there. It's the upgrade of bedrooms in ours.
Increase in
Yeah.
increase in use fee.
From the existing bedrooms in the house that was raised to the amount of bedrooms in the 2 houses combined, or
The house that was
however.
raised wasn't even connected, right, so.
Well, it was connected.
It was
Oh, it is
It was
connected.
connected.
That house was, would you call it abandoned?
Got it,
Yeah.
got it.
So-
existing connection, there was existing dwelling there, so what we're really now doing is we have a dwelling in the back now. Should we be charging them a connection fee based on the number of bedrooms?
Well,
At a minimum.
But the first
At a
one
minimum.
should also, if it had 3 and it's gonna have 5, it's 2 bedrooms,
Good point.
2 additional bedrooms, so there's a charge for that.
It had 4 bedrooms, the original house.
Okay. I was just pulling numbers out of thin air.
Good. Well, yeah, so at the very least, we're gonna charge our minimum
Based on our
based on our,
regulations.
based on our regulations. And you're gonna do a little more research to see if there is a developer's agreement that says something.
Yeah.
But you doubt you're gonna
Can't,
come up with anything.
we might end up calling Hammernick.
Yeah.
Darren, are we usually the triggering event for that fee being paid to the original developer? How does it work? Are we the fiduciary to make sure he gets paid when an
Yes.
applicant comes in?
If there's a developer's
If there
agreement.
is.
And that's a big if, it might not exist. The best we can tell, it was a sewer put in 1995 by Dominic Conti, going by memory. The DPW didn't take over sewers until like 99. I wasn't here until 2000, so it's before me, but I heard all the stories. So if there's a developer's agreement, and when the commission decided to talk about connection fees, it was always in the background that if there's a developer's agreement, that would take care of everything. We kind of started talking about connection fees in the case where a developer was paid off. If you remember, it was the Mixter developer agreement up on Mansfield Avenue. And the commission looked at this and said, yeah, it's not fair for somebody to hold out and then get to connect for free. Some of these developers agreements are tens of thousands of dollars. So the commission came up with the connection fees, and the developers agreement was supposed to rule, but if there is no developers agreement, there might be one. Hammernick might produce it, we might find it. We looked at this particular connection. I believe this is a house that was owned by someone named Thayer, T-H-E-I-R. Does that sound right? No?
That's not who I bought it.
Okay, so there's another house on Locust, and I'm like 99% sure we paid Hammernick. We went through the lateral file and didn't find that information. So we might end up going back to Hammernick, and maybe he has some records.
Would it be then the net of the two, perhaps? The highest minus the less, if they asked to pay Hammernick X, and our connection fee would be more, would we then?
Yeah, those are all good questions for the commission. So, for example, whatever Hammerneck was expecting, there's now one more. That doesn't mean Hammerneck gets that because he's already charging more per house. So it's plausible and reasonable for the commission to say, that extra lot is ours. It's also plausible and reasonable to say, let's give all that money to Hammernick, and then somebody else who connects down the line doesn't get anything once Hammernick's paid off. So
This lot was not this connection was not anticipated.
the lot didn't exist. That's correct.
You know that suggestion I had about, yeah, we're gonna come back.
Okay.
This
is gonna be tabled.
And if that's probably the only item would be the connection fee. We'll move ahead with the rest of this. But I think, let us do our homework a little bit more on this, see if we can dig some more information up, because not only was that connection fee based on having the developer's agreement paid off in full, but we also modified our connection fees to address I&I. So I want you folks to think about that
That's
too
what I
a
was
little
thinking,
bit.
balance
So
between the two.
let's come back with the proper information.
If I,
Wait a minute, I'm confused with what you just said. The I&I is downstream. The I&I is still gonna be there from the pipes,
That's-
from the end of the pipe to Stanford.
I wasn't talking about the fact that we have I&I. I was talking about part of our setting up of our connection fees. We started off with a direct connect of the number of dwellings, I believe.
Pipe side, water
And
side.
then we changed it to bedrooms. Part of that
That's right.
change was based on trying to include addressing our I&I in our overall system through the connection fee
The
process.
justification
Using-
for setting
using the money.
Sorry.
yes, the
Did I say that
justification
right?
for setting the fee was based on the cost of, roughly on the
Yeah.
cost
The
of I&I.
adjusted cost.
Yes.
The
Yes.
initial, when we initially set it up, it's just because you were basically buying into the club that is called the sewer system,
Yes.
Yep.
that is existing, that is the single most expensive entity the town of Darien owns by far.
Does the club have meetings? Can we have? Or is
This is the meeting.
And there's a secret handshake too that goes with it.
Where's the secret?
No, there is no handshake. You don't want to pass around that.
That's my suggestion, that,
Yeah,
let us do a little.
wait,
let's
you
do
have a little bit more information than you have, so Darren
just
first and then you.
one little thing, clarification on your first motion. Easement, maintenance agreement, understood.
Town council review.
Thank you. The commission always
Pursuant to our
says,
standard conditions.
so we're going to, this is,
Yes.
we're gonna take it, they're gonna give it to us, we'll give them a sample, we'll go to town council, if they approve it, we don't have to come back to you.
That was the intent of your motion, right?
It was. I was.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
good.
I knew that when I overread.
Reese read my mind.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Well, that was the first thing I was
For
going
us,
to
just,
say.
you gotta come a little closer to make sure we pick you up on the mics, and then you have to say your name.
Bruce Gold.
Yeah. Over here.
No, all I was going to say was that I already have an easement, and I have an
Bruce-
easement.
Well, last name, Bruce
Gold.
Gold. Okay. go ahead.
So, no, I have an easement that we could execute, so I could just give that to you. And I'm working on a maintenance agreement, probably be
Okay.
ready tomorrow. And the other thing I just wanted to know is, what is the typical connection fee usually?
$750 per bedroom plus some other ancillary street opening fees and things like that.
Okay.
Might not have that here.
Yeah, but you won't need it in this case.
Well, you get a pull a sewer permit, it's probably
Sewer permit,
$200
$200
for
for
that.
something, I don't know.
Okay, no, that's all I
How would you
want.
not?
So I would give you
We have a
the,
sample. His lawyer is calling us, when can we connect? So I will give you a sample to try and help speed things up of the Nickerson Lane. It's
Okay.
2 pages, it'll save you money with your lawyer too.
and that's the easement and the
Sewer
maintenance?
Easement and maintenance agreement
Okay,
together.
perfect.
Okay?
Okay, great, thank you.
And I'll deal through Anthony Tacone, I know you've had contact. Thank you.
Okay.
So we're gonna table item 3? Oh, well, the
Motion 3.
third matter of this particular item.
Would you like to make a motion to table that item for the connection
can't
fees?
make-
I'm not a big
Motion's
motion on
easy.
tabling, but you.
Yeah, well, I'll make a motion, we table it.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to table the discussion related to the connection fee.
Have a question?
Oh, discussion.
I'm totally confused at how we're tabling it. It's
bad.
$750 a bedroom.
Yeah, but-
Unless
Plus
it's
what-
more.
No,
Plus whatever.
plus, we absolutely get, the town of Darien gets, the sewer commission gets $750 per bedroom.
Okay.
Anything for the
Developer.
developers agreement is above and beyond that.
Okay,
We get that.
okay.
Okay.
And
do
it
that.
seems like, I don't know, I keep hearing these things where, it's gonna be subtract this from that. No, you're not subtracting anything from
I didn't
anything.
hear that.
It's $750 per bedroom. If the house that's being built that was raised was 4, and the one you're building now is 6, they owe us $1,500.
And I don't even know that because I haven't had anyone officially tell me exactly what the bedroom counts are both.
Well, but the one
so
that was raised.
They're gonna go
the-
back, they're
Mr.
gonna
Gold
look at
said
all
was
of the
4.
data, and they're gonna come back with a recommendation. Unless you wanna move it along quicker, is that what you're saying?
The connection fee on our side is already predetermined.
Yeah, but we are the arbiter of the developers agreement connection fee as well.
Yes,
And how they-
but
and
I'm
how
just
they-
saying that ours is predetermined,
Okay,
at least in my opinion, with the regulations.
No, I think what Darren brought up is the history of how we got here, and fairness is always
That's
the
all.
guidepost. And fairness is if they have to pay to actually join the development of the sewer, that should be considered on a connection fee basis.
It should not.
You don't agree.
It should
I-
not, because the water still ends up going into
I
our
get it,
system.
I get it. But our whole concept was coming from that mixture sewer development that was fully funded, that 301 Mansfield, I represented the seller, was able to hook up to without paying a connection fee, sort of drove the bus on this and how we got here. So that's all they're saying. So do some research, figure out what the developer's agreement is or is not, and maybe it's a non-issue, Bob.
But it's already.
It's a non-issue.
It's already backwards, because you're paying in dollars from,
1985.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was, 95.
40 years
I thought
ago.
it was 85, but it's 95.
so the developer's
Then
already
they're-
holding
they're
40
get-
years of not getting paid, and he's getting paid in $2024 as opposed to
So he's getting screwed.
$1985.
He's getting screwed. He didn't
Yes.
get- Didn't get a cost of living adjustment for his, or his.
Sorry,
That's what it says in
I
the
believe that, yes.
Right, there's truth to that. Maybe he gets a Christmas present this year, maybe he doesn't. If they don't find any paperwork, he doesn't come forward, it's not an issue. I don't think it's worthy of not looking at it and coming back next
But I
month.
don't think it comes out of our portion.
It might not.
And,
Don't know
okay,
yet.
can I remind everybody that the motion on the table
To table it.
is to table it and have a more full discussion at the next meeting. That's the motion.
And like I
table.
said, I don't agree with tabling it. Ours is predetermined.
Okay.
If the
Then vote no.
developer's
So,
agreement
okay.
portion
Wait.
is not determined, but the town's portion of the connection fee is determined.
But if you do it, you can make that plain in the next go-around.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can make that plain right now. There's no reason to wait till next month when I won't be here.
Oh,
Oh.
Where are you gonna be?
Where are you gonna be? So we can,
Yosemite.
you wanna
Oh,
call,
I wasn't invited.
you wanna call in?
I'll call in.
Mr. Gentile, you have something to add based on any of the discussion?
Oh, I have
you've heard?
nothing to add, just waiting for direction.
It's a regulation, it's there. We're gonna circumvent regulations now? After all the time we spent making them?
I don't,
Just four,
where are
just
you getting
tabling it.
the assumption that we're gonna do any of that?
Then why, all right, so,
I would prefer to understand the big picture before making a vote on
Bring
a
more
piece of
stuff
it.
next month.
That's all.
yeah.
but they're two separate entities. Our connection fee and the developer's agreement connection fee are two separate entities.
Okay, we've heard your discussion. Is there anybody else have discussion on the motion on the floor? Okay, all those in favor of tabling this until next month, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? Okay, 4-1.
Thank you.
See you next month. All right. Item number 4 is done for now. Item number 5, proposed amendments to the Darien zoning regulations on accessory dwelling units.
So you folks asked me to go back and just put some bullet points together after going through the adjustments to the accessory dwelling units from planning and zoning.
Yes.
I kept them simple. So what I thought impacted us
Okay.
with regards to permitting, fees, any type of invoicing, things like that. So I really couldn't come up with anything else. So,
Oh, that's this, okay. Apply connection fee
page 105.
as if adding an additional bedroom. Because these are only allowed to be studios or one bedrooms, correct? I think that's true.
Yeah, I believe so.
So we 750 like connection approval requirements. ADU is attached to existing dwelling. Approval not required because it's the same discharge location.
Mm-hmm.
Detached, our approval is required because we want to probably look at connection details and so forth a little bit closer. Permit requirement, ADU attached, no permit because there's no work on the lateral, theoretically. ADU detached, permit required because there's going to be work. I guess, you know, you could come up with like, if they're taking like a pool house and making it an ADU, so it already has plumbing and it already has a connection, and, sorry.
Yeah.
There's always a gray area.
Well, then, we still have to assess the $750 fee for the additional bedroom.
Craig, I don't see the one-bedroom thing.
Yeah, because you're
See, I
adding a
don't see it in
bedroom.
there either.
Doesn't have anything to do
Just
with
a
that.
size, it's a size issue.
I'm
Oh,
agreeing.
It's a
okay.
gross,
Thank you.
yeah, maximum gross area.
Sorry.
It would be per bedroom.
So if,
I'm a little on edge.
apply connection fee per additional bedroom would be
Yeah.
the per additional bedroom,
I'm sorry,
not
say that
as
again?
if adding,
Shocking complexity for something,
per additional
No,
bedroom.
I thought the
having
same thing.
been on planning and zoning with Susan,
Yeah.
it's like
Probably won't be.
somebody let a regulatory beast out of the closet and really fine-toothed it.
Editorial comments. And then sewer invoicing.
It always comes up.
So it'll be some issued for only one sewer fee invoice. So we're assuming because it's one single property, even though it might be two separate structures,
Are they gonna allow sub-metering of electric?
that they're gonna, well, that Aquarian is only gonna put 1 meter in. That's what we're assuming.
They're probably going, I would hope they would tap off the existing water service after the
He's
water
saying
meter,
that Maybe not that.
Electric.
right? I mean, the water meter, generally now the new houses are out in front, but, I mean, if I'm doing it, I'm coming after the meter.
Yeah.
Well, we run into a problem is when two separate units, two separate water meters on one piece of property with one list number. That's where we run into our problems.
We've had that before.
We've had it before, and we cleaned up, Penny's cleaned up a lot of those.
I'm trying to remember, let's see. It doesn't, at least the current draft, I don't think requires owner occupied.
It does,
It does.
yeah, of one of the principal dwellings, I
Oh,
think.
boy.
Yeah,
Bad
exactly.
memory.
I read this before, I mean,
So I guess the weird situation would be, and we've seen a couple of these every once in a while, right? Like, there's 2 meters on one property, and we're only getting one bill, and we're only sending one bill kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we just have to be cognizant of that. I'm fine with sending one bill.
how about the net of all meters on the property for the sewer bill? Let's say sub-meter for water, for irrigation.
Or we send a bill for each meter?
We would have to probably do that by hand.
Because CompuTel doesn't, it's by
Well,
address.
They go by list number.
Yeah.
And as soon as you stray from that path, you're on your own.
And does the
But
list,
wouldn't Aquarian, if it was I'm not saying sub-meters, like, forget sub-meters, we're not figuring out how to bill sub-meters, they can figure that out. But I'm saying if it happens to be 2 Aquarian meters,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't they have 2 list numbers and come out with CompuTel on? 2 rows?
I think that's how we ran into the problem, in one of the properties on Locust
it
Hill.
didn't-
It
it
wasn't,
doesn't
it
go
was
like
2
that.
meters and only one of them was associated with the list number, the other one was out
world
floating in
space.
space. So,
Well, I guess I'm comfortable with your language, and it sounds like there might be a little weird gray edges, depending on how either Aquarian handles it or how the Computil reports it, but I'm comfortable with sending one sewer invoice to one property.
anything that we'd like to address to planning and zoning with regards to notifications on these type of units when they're approved or anything like that?
So there's a couple, with them, it's 2 different ways too. I think if it's a larger, and let's see, let me see if I can get this wrong. This will be the third thing I get wrong if I get it wrong. If it's a larger property, like over 1 acre, these are like straight to zoning permit, like administrative. If it's a smaller property, it requires site plan approval.
And parking is an issue off street.
And, yeah, so, notification. Well, how would, I mean, it's same with increase in use, right? We need to be notified when there's an increase in use in order to apply a fee. I mean, do we see all building permit applications now?
I'm sorry?
Do we see all building permit applications now? Do they need a sewer department sign off?
Not
No.
yet.
So it's only if the building department says, you ought to go talk to those guys?
Yeah, well, you have, require a sewer permit of some kind.
Yeah.
Well, any extra bedroom, even in an existing house, already hooked up, would,
Yeah, we might not even, if that just
we
goes
don't.
zoning permit,
Yeah.
no site plan, building permit.
Right. You're done.
There's no exterior work, then we might not ever hear about it.
Yeah.
all that money.
So then
Bob.
we need to be notified.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
because,
please.
we call it a
Yes, please.
connection fee, but if there's no separation in the pipe, there's really nothing to connect. So it's like, it almost needs to be called like an additional bedroom connection fee.
Additional use fee, yeah.
It needs to be something where
Yeah.
where the building department is actually aware that there doesn't actually need to be a connection.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
So for the lateral going out to the road.
with you.
No, it's applied.
So is this public hearing still open? Do we know?
The P and Z one?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't,
Because we could ask that language be added directly to the reg that says the sewer department is notified of any proposed ADU prior to, whatever, or along with building permit or zoning permit. So either way, right, if it's still open, it would be great if they could add language right into the regulation that says the sewer department shall be notified, prior to a zoning permit being issued of the request for ADU.
Is it notified or shall sign off? There's a different level there.
Well, yeah,
I
we
think.
have two-
Which do we want to be at?
Well, we have 2 different levels, right? So I think that one, staff has to get notified, and then staff can pick up how we react and say, oh, it's inside a building, I'm allowed to prove this without sewer commission. Oh, it's outside a building, this has to go to sewer commission, so.
But if they're able to sign off, then it would be, they can sign off, or they just
Staff can sign.
wave above it. So you're saying they need to sign off, not be notified? Different, I know it's,
Yeah.
so you need to sign off on.
Okay,
every-
you know what, because there should be a connection fee, there should be,
I'm saying it should say sign off, just.
or sewer department approval is required.
Okay, approval.
Yeah, okay. Sewer department approval is required.
Notification,
Yeah, sure,
just think it's a little too informal.
sure.
We had an attorney come in here in the last year or so who basically posited the concept that if zoning government allows certain amounts of building, it has to supply all the resources and everything associated with that, roads, including sewer. Have we looked at this in terms of how many houses could be adding capacity and how our system relates to that? As this regulation now becomes as of right, in a way, for people to apply.
I haven't. I don't
It's
think
almost-
Darren has either.
It's hard to say what that could be.
Well, because there's different projections. There's projection which DPH used to use, which is 150 gallons per
And
bedroom.
it's 110, 120 now, right?
112 and a half.
112 and a half?
Yeah, they say 75 per person and 1.5 people per bedroom. So so it comes out to 112
But
and a
I'm,
half.
I'm almost asking even a greater
Craig?
question than that. It's like,
But
I
nobody,
thought it was 125 in the January code, but I'll look again.
but nobody
I
knows how many.
just saw
But right.
WSP submit one for a 200-unit condo in Greenwich where it was that way.
Okay.
so the question would be, is like, how many houses out of our total sewer shed could be? No, but this is,
I don't-
if you buy into that logic, and I thought it was a little bit overreaching, that if you zone it, they shall come, and have the right to whatever it's zoned as. Now we're creating this zone,
I'm
this
with that.
extra.
There's two.
And how does that affect our ability to deliver what this requires?
And-
as a
So I have
commission?
another thought, right? Like,
Okay.
if there is actually space on the property for this extra thing, there's a space on that property for an extra bedroom and a single-family dwelling unit, right? So it's already zoned for the ability to have 6 bedrooms or 7 bedrooms in one
Oh, yeah, I
unit.
see what you're saying, okay. So you just make another bedroom in the house that's equivalent to doing an ADU?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Based on the coverage
Yeah,
in there,
and
yeah.
whatever that is. yeah.
Okay.
So it's all,
Okay.
in one way, it's almost already zoned. Another, and then if
So
you,
that would
but I
be-
see
that
you,
would be
like, how
the
many,
larger lots,
yeah,
and I guess yeah.
because they never use up coverage, right? So they're
Yeah,
more
they
likely
do.
to.
You try as hard as you can to stuff
Yeah.
stuff on there.
It's not me.
I know, I
Just
know.
doing the calculations.
But this is why we're charging the $750 to do the I&I.
Yeah,
To
I get it.
basically
mitigate
negate
it, yeah.
the
I get it.
added bedroom.
I get it.
Yep.
I'm only throwing it out there as, because it was
To
brought
go
up.
with theory, like,
Yeah.
you'd have to figure out, well, what's the uptake? Do you
Yeah,
have to
what's-
assume 100%
yeah,
uptake? I
right.
mean, it's not
Well,
gonna be 100%.
remember when we
Yeah.
looked at the parkland's capacity, we asked the question of how many vacant lots that could be
Yep.
developed and how many houses had not yet hooked up.
Yep,
That
and that
could
was
hook
added
up
to the study.
and added in, and I thought there was a real genuineness to that.
Yep.
The same thing, I just want to look at this the same way.
Sure.
And when we're giving our feedback, saying, this could add this much more need for capacity, and this is where we are, and if we can't fix all the sump pumps and make things work perfectly, this is where we are right now, and this is where we need to be, and add this into the mix.
Well, the history,
And it's impossible to calculate, I know that. How many homeowners would want to, you
the
can't do that.
history of land use is always more intense.
Except for Detroit.
So, if you have
Hopefully
accessory
half the country.
apartments, you're probably gonna have them.
All right, so, review, we have these bullets, which generally we like. That first bullet is gonna be per additional bedroom. Whether it is a request to have language in the actual regulation, or it is a request that the zoning department and building department notify us, or tell the applicant that they need approval from sewer commission, we want that statement out there.
I think
And I
we've already
think-
closed the hearing.
I think Bob
Oh,
brought
that
up a
closed the
good
hearing,
point
okay.
about.
So we're not gonna get into language.
Getting a fee for additional bedrooms, the only triggering event would be the building department. So maybe we need to work with them to have that work better.
There was a
Right.
discussion at one point,
A checklist.
yes,
Yeah.
years and years and years
No,
ago.
no, we could go
And I
back.
think that should be reinvigorated.
You know,
They do it in New Canaan, and I know they
Do
do
it in
it.
Yeah,
Greenwich.
in Stanford and Greenwich,
Yeah.
they basically say,
Here's your checklist.
here applicant, here's your checklist,
Go
go get.
door to door.
you know, Go
Right,
get
and if there's nothing-
Hervé's sign off,
right.
go get,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
health department sign off, go get sewer department sign off, come back.
Yeah.
You know, I agree, I think.
I
Maybe
think
we
that
could look
would
at
be a
that as
great
like
idea.
a 10,000 foot look down. Do you ever know it would be this complicated? Simple questions. Thank you for putting
Want
up
to
with
go
us.
back on vacation?
All right, any further
I'll
discussion?
think of you while I'm out there hiking in the.
Any further discussion on this item? Do you want us to take action now, or do you want to come back with a couple of edits? or-
Let me
Okay.
talk to P and Z,
Synthesize
let's see how
the
far they're
discussion
along
and
with
come
that,
back.
and come back.
Sounds like
Sounds
there were
good.
deliberations between folks.
Yeah. Item 6 is the superintendent's report. Gentlemen, how are things going?
Give me 1 second. Okay. All right, so first item, the Phase 2, so I'm glad to report the pipelining now has been completed. All the planned pipelining has now been completed.
Yeah.
And we've started the lateral lining now, we're about 25% complete. So they're moving along with that, the lateral lining and grouting that they're doing. The next step is in the next week or two, we're gonna start to get a schedule on the manhole work now that the asphalt plants have opened and the weather is starting to get better. So they're moving along pretty good. You have a question?
That's for after the meeting. I want to talk to one of you.
Okay.
Way you can remember it. You-
Yeah, that was a putting a pin in something, so, or bookmarking something, so I could remember. It's my bookmark, here's my bookmark.
All right, so the next item, B. This was for Reese, and he wasn't here at last meeting, so I
Yeah,
put it
thank
back
you.
in again.
I saw that.
I don't know if I still have any questions, but let me just tell you what I said last week, or last month was, I understand what you saw on that diagram, all
Yeah.
those red dots, but understand those red dots represent manholes that were flooded.
Oh,
So
okay.
the smoke was coming out of them as part of the smoke
Got it,
test,
got it.
because they're manholes.
Yeah.
Flooded with fog.
But they are identified
Oh,
as
smoke
being a
test.
flood hazard zone.
Got
Oh.
it.
In our next two phases, they're included in watertight manhole
Oh,
replacements.
cool, the lids.
Okay?
All right, cool.
So hopefully that-
makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
That helps you.
So those lids were not watertight? or
Yeah.
at least what, not airtight,
Smoke
they're
came
gonna
out.
be made
That
watertight.
makes, thank you.
You're
It
welcome.
wasn't necessarily indicative of the neighborhood being more egregious of the sump pumps, but probably they are because they're on the river.
Good point. C,
Yeah,
and let me just, I'm sorry. It is C. So what we did last month, and I think this was a request from Susan, and I'm sorry, I did put this form back in here, but we looked at the rainfall on the day that we had the SSO at Sedgwick, and that was September 29th of last year.
I have it.
You do have?
Well, I printed it out. Now that I cleared my cache.
Do you have this one?
That would have been.
Yes, and I have that.
Last
Okay,
month.
good. That was in last month's package.
Yep.
So what I did is I tried to give you an idea of between the hours. It was an 18-hour rainstorm event, and we totaled 3.8 inches of rain. So I tried to give you an idea of what size storm that was by using
Right.
that graph, and it fell somewhere around 10 years, a little more than
It's
5.
not a really big storm.
Not really a big storm.
Right.
But what I did do also at the bottom was look at the rainfall that we had for the entire year, and then give you the rainfall for the 2 or 3 months just before the storm to show you the saturation of the soils that we were having. So over the full year, we had only 47 inches of rain, but during that 3-month period, a 2.5-month period, we had 23 of those inches. So half of the rain fell during that time period, saturating the soil. That was another contributing factor to why that system was so inundated with water. I'm not saying the only factor, but it was an additional factor. And we did go out and we did clean that line again and camera that line again.
Okay, well, there was just another SSO at that same manhole.
Correct.
And the rain event was 2.9 inches.
2.9
It was not-
inches in a 16-hour event,
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess
So-
that this manhole keeps coming up. So
Right.
clearly there's an issue.
Literally.
Yep.
We had previously thought maybe it was the fats, oils, and grease in the downhill lines that may have been contributed by upstream restaurants. But now that we've kind of recamered it and re-cleaned it out, and then had recently another SSO, and the SSOs are lining up with high groundwater, 3-inch rainfall event, 3.8-inch rainfall event, 2.9. It's clearly that we're getting inflow and infiltration. We have recommendations from our SSES, which includes lining 5,000 feet of pipe in this sewer shed, plus some manhole and lateral work. Because this is really the one SSO that is,
Hasn't gone away.
yeah, it's like the wrench in the works, or I don't know, the pea under the pillow, or I don't know how to describe it. Is there any way we can accelerate the I&I mitigation work in this sewer shed so we can stop this sooner rather than later?
We can definitely take a look at trying to get it in ahead of time.
Yeah.
This, though it is part of Phase 3, I
Yeah.
could move it up to the beginning of Phase 3, make it the very first areas to do.
Yeah.
The contract we have right now, I don't know if I can add it to it without
Yeah.
having a major impact on the schedules that they have.
I guess, is it worth, like, I don't know, maybe, are there 2 pipe sections that are like
The worst.
super duper leaky that, we could put an ad to their contract and have that done reasonably, or no, or?
There could be, and I'm not gonna say there's
Yeah.
not. There could be a section that, oh my goodness, it's purple on that plan. We should do those first.
Yeah.
We're finding when you do the mains, you need to do the manholes, and you do laterals.
Yeah,
Where you're
everything's
pretty much just
contributing.
forcing the water to another location.
Yeah.
Which is what they've done on phase two. They've made that plan consistent with, hey, let's seal the section of the sewer system there, not just the main.
I guess the good thing is that, you know, we probably have 5,000 manholes in this system, and this is the only one apparently that is having a consistent reaction to these wet weather conditions. But since it is the only one, it seems like it should get our focus.
Is this the one that Arcadis said has a lot of capacity?
Yeah, so that was the work that was done
Is that
on the
right?
7 Sedgwick application was based on a 1.8-inch rainfall event that occurred during the flow monitoring period, about 500 or 600 feet downstream.
So what is the
Clearly,
event?
that's not enough,
Not
right?
to-
Because if you're getting it popping or surcharging it or whatever you call
Yeah.
it, when sewage comes out of a manhole,
Yeah.
when you have a small rain event, that can't mean that you have capacity.
I wouldn't necessarily consider a 3-inch rain event a small rain event, but.
I don't think it's enough of a rain event to cause your sewage to come out and you just say there's capacity. To me, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't common sense.
Yeah,
So I don't understand. So maybe Lindsay could come back and
yeah, we asked her that
explain
question.
to us.
All I can tell you, like, at least from my experience, and we've submitted capacity analysis in 6 or 8 different jurisdictions, when you do a flow monitoring period, you know, you're looking to pick up a 1/2-inch rainfall event, a 1-inch rainfall event, and if you pick up a 1/2-inch rainfall event or a 1-inch rainfall event, that's what is kind of the standard of practice for
But
picking up a
maybe it's
rainfall
not
event.
linear, Craig. Maybe as you get into the 3, it's parabolic.
Yeah,
In terms of
I-
how
Yeah.
I
much
don't know
more
that.
inundation it is, that it's a times 10 instead of time.
And I guess it depends on the sewer shed. It could be, you know, it's more groundwater driven than
Yeah.
inflow driven. So the rain amount doesn't matter. It's the
And-
kind of total over the last 3 months.
And
you
like
know,
Bob
or
said, that
whatever.
it's saturated ground or frozen
Yeah.
ground or anything else that could be.
We did have
factor.
between July, I did happen to look at this for some other jobs, between July and January, 7 months, we had about 58% more rainfall than normal, 14 more inches of rain than normal.
Yeah.
So we definitely have high groundwater conditions at the moment, which I'm sure is exacerbating
If that
these
manhole.
these red and orange areas.
If that manhole were sealed, like some of the others have been, does it then transfer its problem somewhere else to another manhole and cause an issue down the road?
Yeah, it's interesting.
It probably could, it probably would. I would have to look at the surrounding areas in that system to see how close of elevation those manholes are, because if they're close in elevation, then they're just gonna come up someplace
Yeah.
else.
But
Yeah, I
this-
mean, we wouldn't want to seal them until we've done the I&I, right? We want to get
Yeah.
water out of the
No,
system
totally.
before you seal them.
The manhole that Arcadis studied is on the post road though, right? It's a contributing system of all.
There were
Yeah,
2
that's
study
gonna be-
points.
900 feet down.
Yeah, no, I know, because that's where we thought the point of confluence of the most issues with the drop
Yeah.
and the head and everything for pitch down the post road back. to-
There were 2
Yeah.
study points. So
Yep.
there was this study point, which is, here's Mechanic Street.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
And then down,
Yep.
so it was downstream of the railroad, but there was
Yep.
also a study point just before Post Road on Mechanic Street.
And that's what contributes to,
Yeah, so that's this portion.
Got it.
So this is the manhole I think we're
Got
talking
it.
about. This is 7 Sedgwick.
yeah.
So it's downstream. That was the pipe that was studied.
So either side,
So the
either
interesting thing,
side of
though,
the railroad.
if you look at that, right, so this is the ground profile.
Yep.
And this is the sewer profile.
Yep.
And this is.
And there's a huge drop.
So, exactly. So the hydraulic grade line in the sewer could be like that.
Right.
And these are all fine.
Right.
But it goes to the
Right.
lowest manhole,
Yep.
which is the one we
But
see.
if you're looking at that, what's the elevation of the next, like, 2
Right, is it
manholes
here?
upstream?
They're a little bit higher, but not a lot higher.
And those-
What's a little bit?
Well, I don't have the
'Cause,
numbers on it.
I mean, the water was only, when I was there, it was only coming up yay high.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
It's-
not a whole
It's
lot of
almost
pressure.
impossible to tell on what I have.
So
printed
that's
out.
why I'm
So-
thinking, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't be worth putting the,
Sealing the lid.
well, no, just put the bowl in there.
Yeah.
So that the
Oh,
lid is still
prevent-
free, so
Prevent
that,
direct inflow.
But the worry
no,
is
so it would also stop it from, it would make it harder for the water to get out.
It would also worries me, if somebody drives over this and dislodges the manhole, they've got a hole.
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, that's a
yeah.
safety issue.
That is
more
a
than
safety
anything.
issue.
Old Faithful can do its thing for a little while, and if everybody leaves it alone, it'll go back down.
Is this the only
It
manhole?
it is, but it's also
that
where people walk
surcharges?
across the street and may not know that it's
I mean,
sewage.
we have
and-
manholes out here that are underwater.
No, no, but they're also
I guess
walking
it's
in
the
sewage.
first one I tell you is, it's the first one we get a call on and that we see.
Okay.
As the storms get larger and larger, there's other locations that get surcharged. Near Water has a manhole down closer to the pump station that surcharges too. But that's
this is-
with
this is a
larger
problem.
storms.
Yeah, yeah, this one is happening too frequently.
So I guess it's our same question that we would ask Lindsay, and it's almost impossible to answer, is what's the rainfall event you design the sewer capacity to?
Ideally-
Under existing conditions?
Ideally, you don't have rain getting in your sewer.
When you do your work, the EPA guidelines, review
Oh.
of sewer design criteria and RDII prediction methods?
I believe all it says is take into account, it doesn't give any specific guidance, right?
Right, so take into account means if it's surcharging, then maybe you don't have capacity, right?
Yeah.
Under
Well, I
certain
think,
conditions.
again, at the time, we thought the problem had been solved by
A blockage.
the fats, oils, and grease being cleaned out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the flow testing, which we hadn't had before.
I get the second question would be, flow testing does what? And how can it predict? If it's a linear prediction, they should be spot on. If it's parabolic, or something else going on, with 3 inches being 10x of 1.5 inches, not
Yeah,
double.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe that's how, I don't know. We see it popping,
Yeah.
so.
Look, and, there's always a bigger storm event. There's always gonna be more an I with a bigger storm event. Well, hopefully, all this work that we're doing is gonna start showing promise.
So I will go back to Arcadis and see if there's something we can do about moving this up sooner. I've already had a meeting with them to talk about numerous other projects, one of them being starting the Phase 2 design.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, sir.
And then what's the distance from the manhole that's surcharging to the next one? I mean, would that little
Upstream.
bit of, upstream, would that little bit of increased capacity be of significance, similar to the way the manholes are locked down out here in the field?
Again, I wouldn't make them watertight until we do the
You know why?
I mitigation. You don't want to create a pressure situation.
I mean, one manhole, I don't think you're creating that much pressure.
Well, we have the, let's see if I can find
I
this.
mean, it'd be one thing if you were doing 5 in a row or so, but I don't, one.
Well, the other issue is the lateral from Goodwives comes in, I think, to that manhole or nearby. So if you're gonna start creating pressure, I have the profile in, whatever, Old Kings Highway, I don't have it that goes behind Goodwives, right? So we don't wanna create a problem
All the good
on
ones.
someone else's property if we can avoid it.
No, I understand that, but we also don't want exfiltration going right into the river.
We're passing the problem somewhere. Yep.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think this is the solution, right? This is get the water out of the system.
But it's also nice to know that we've got an existing condition that can indicate that under certain rainfall events, the analysis falls apart from flow monitoring. Can't really
Sure.
trust flow monitoring.
Well, to a
the way we
point, yeah.
Thought we could.
Well, and capacity studies,
Right.
because I don't trust the capacity studies anymore.
Well, I would say they can prove one way, it's hard for them to prove definitively the other way.
Yeah.
They can prove there is not capacity. It's hard for them to prove definitively that there is capacity.
But they
I don't
did
know
that.
as you can.
Arcadis came back in and said, no, Land Tech is wrong. You have capacity. So they proved it, and yet we still have these SSOs.
And I don't want to sound harsh, but all that's gonna happen to them is their word is gonna be sullied. Nothing monetarily
No.
happens to them or anything else, so they can
I just want to know.
somewhat say things that they believe, but there's little to no repercussions,
Based
in
on the
my opinion.
calculations presented is what they are.
Well, they're based on the
Yes, but-
assumptions of the data
Yeah.
to use for calculations. So I'd just like to know how the sausage gets made.
And the
But-
question is, what
right,
is
but since we
what is
have-
the appropriate standard of care?
Right.
We have bigger rain events all the time. So why wouldn't they be using some of the bigger rain events?
They didn't flow monitor that.
Yeah, it's hard to, you
Okay,
have to keep a flow monitor in for a year to capture it.
so then you just have SSOs.
No. We might have none, we don't know.
Well, we have been having.
No, we have.
Well,
Sorry.
what you have is you've identified an I&I issue,
In the subwater,
and we're
sub-sewer.
trying to take action to,
And added
Reduce the
capacity,
I&I.
approved capacity,
Yeah.
at that place where you know you have an I&I issue. Correct?
now we know, yeah.
Well, we knew before, and now we know again.
I
But
think,
meanwhile,
again,
we've approved,
At the time, again, it's what was the information understood at the time? The information understood at the time was, we had them in the past, we thought that cleaning that line out had solved the problem. That was the information we had at the time that the decision was made.
Yeah, but we had two engineers come in and radically different opinions. And I know the data was a little skewed, and
It
Landsec
wasn't-
misinterpreted the
used
data.
different-
No, they did a
applied-
12-hour versus a 24-hour
And
or
they
something.
multiplied
Yeah.
the groundwater flow by 4, which you would never do. It's not a thing that you do in the calculations. There was an error in the calculation.
So they.
It wasn't a skew or a different perspective.
Thank
There was
you.
a-
Thank you very
There
much.
was an error.
Truly.
In there.
I think we need a new battle of the engineers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The fight might have been rigged.
I'm Turlo trusting the numbers. Okay. Moving on.
Just a question with storm events, just since we're in there, and I don't believe I've ever asked. Do we have I mean, this was a storm that we knew, that was predicted, that was predicted to be 2+ inches of rain. Do you have SOGs or SOPs that are performed prior to rain events of that size?
Absolutely.
I figured you did.
It's all about being prepared.
So I just.
We've done enough to know where we need to be, when we need to be there, and what needs to be checked before it hits, so.
Oh, sorry.
Quick question on the minutes from last month, the one that you rejiggered, the smoke testing program, the 8-inch line that comes down driveway, connects to big 24-inch pipe at Stony Brook Pump Station, comes in and heads to the wet well. Was successfully lined, plan to reconfigure chamber and create a channel. Added line to part of Brookside Road, oh, that was separate, the added line? Okay, I was trying to like put those two together and it didn't make sense.
Yeah, it's separate.
So it was a deficiency.
It's all part of the Phase 2 work that was getting done. That's why that paragraph had to be jumped down,
Yep.
the heading.
You have a 6D.
I do. You guys ready for 6D?
I'm ready.
I'm ready for 16.
I think it was something that Craig had asked for. I gave you the flow spreadsheets to the city of Stanford to give you a little peek at what we've done.
Thank you.
Oh, it kind of compared to,
Yeah. And the last sheet doesn't have the last 2 connections on it, only because they weren't included up until the year after that.
water main, we can make some,
So you can see this year's flows are between December and January are quite larger
Yep.
than previous year.
And that's the rain.
Yeah. So,
And just in case anyone's looking, sorry, the average on the total should actually be 78.36.
average on the total.
The column all the way over to the right,
On
Which
one.
spreadsheet?
the last one, 23 to 24. See the 52.24?
Yeah, that's not right, you're saying?
No, it should be 78.36 if you add the columns from from all the flow meters.
Okay.
I mean, near water is 55, so the total can't be 52.
Okay, so that is generally divided by 12?
Yeah, and that's divided by 12 instead of, the other ones are all
So
divided by 8.
when that spreadsheet is finally filled in, those last 4 months, then the number will be corrected. It'll correct itself.
oh, it's adding the
That's
zeros
what I
was-
above. Yeah, got it.
That's what I was trying to show you
Yeah.
today.
Okay, you showed me now.
I sent you the picture of my
No,
paperwork.
no, you're absolutely correct. That number gets divided by 12.
And then,
But since I
We
gave
only
you
have
a
8
partial
months.
year,
Yeah.
it's dividing by 12, so the average isn't right. When the
And then I
finish
was-
filled in, it will be though.
I was wondering, have we done work on the Holmes watershed? Seems like the decrease there has been more than on the other ones. Looking at the numbers here, which you can play all kinds of ways, but
Was that the crossing there?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing. I'm just wondering if there was something we did. I didn't recall doing something in that watershed.
I didn't notice any changes over the last 3 years at Holmes, but I'll see a better indication when we get rid of those rainfall months. I'll be able to take a look at those again.
That area might not be as susceptible to rain events. It's a smaller sewer shed, right?
Holmes?
Yeah, I know the river's right there. I get it. Yeah. In the tributaries.
It's, they're not newer pipes,
Yeah.
right? You want to get to a better system areas, you're gonna have to go up Hoyt Street area, up where the sewers are newer. Systems are tighter.
And then the other thing is,
We know that
from, do you have, or can you get the town total for these charts? The Aquarian town total?
Penny asked me that. I was trying to
That's because I
understand what.
asked her for it.
She did mention that. Trying to understand what, you're looking for the total water usage
From Aquarian.
for all the houses that are tied in.
In Darien. You've given it to us in 2021 and, or 2019 and 20, and 20 and 21.
Okay.
But I'm asking for it that correlates with these tables so we can see the I and I.
I'll give them to,
Now.
I'll give them to you again, but I have the ones. I give them to you every year.
You do that every year, yeah.
Okay.
It, generally, right around the time we talk about rates.
Rates, when we were gonna raise our fee or not.
There's a-
No,
there's a-
but I wanted to see if,
Craig's
since we have
imagining a
so
hill.
much flow.
Can't stop the rain.
In this, and especially in the 20, I know it's only partial, but the 23, 24 here,
Yeah,
because we have so much flow, if the I and I is even worse as a percentage, is what's piquing my interest.
okay. I will send you those.
Oh, yeah, we could do those charts over again. We did it
And throw the rainfall.
about a year ago. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, anything anything else under the superintendent's report?
And since it's
Peter?
very quiet,
Oh, any new business? Sorry. Hearing none. Peter,
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
all those in favor? We are adjourned
No
at 5:48.
discussion.
Thank you very much, Channel 79.